Managing Safety and Health. Introduction. Workplace injuries and illnesses seriously affect the health and well-being of many workers each year. They also affect the bottom line company finances. When a company has a positive safety and health culture, workers behave in less risky ways and have fewer accidents. In simple terms, a safety and health program is designed to make sure a company has a set of values and practices to protect all employees. There are many influences that make a workplace more or less safe. The work being done, the materials and equipment being used, and the work processes affect the level of safety. Work sites must be analyzed to determine the safety risk. Every person at a workplace has a role in making and keeping it as safe as possible. It is important that employers and employees learn how to minimize exposures and risks at work. The introduction, lesson outline. Here's the outline for this lesson. 1. Introduction. Welcome to managing safety and health. 2. Cost of accidents. Identify the direct and indirect cost of accidents in the workplace. 3. Reducing the cost of accidents. Recognize the direct and indirect benefits of accident prevention. 4. A safety and health culture. List the basic elements and proven benefits of a strong safety and health culture. 5. Laboratory exercise. Practice what you've learned. 6. Responsibilities of management. List the characteristics of leadership and management that enhance health and safety in the workplace, including the role of accountability in management. 7. Role of employees. Recognize why and how employees contribute to a safe and healthy workplace, and recognize how accountability can reinforce the safety and health culture for employees. 8. Worksite analysis. Recognize the critical role a worksite analysis plays in a safe and healthy workplace, and identify the events and changes in the worksite that signal it is time to update the worksite analysis. 9. Controlling and preventing hazards in the workplace. List the 4 hazard control options and how they fit into the hierarchy of controls. 10. More hazard control activities. Recognize additional roles played by emergency response, medical programs, preventative maintenance, and documentation in controlling hazards. 11. Safety and health evaluations. Identify the components of a good safety and health evaluation program. 12. Laboratory exercise. Practice what you have learned. 13. Training for supervisors and employees. Identify the characteristics of supervisor and employee training that contribute to a safe and healthy workplace. 14. Adjusting attitudes to foster safety. Recognize how employees and employers can strengthen the health and safety culture in the workplace by changing their attitudes, and how management can alter processes to positively influence attitudes. 15. Strategic planning to improve safety. List the key characteristics of an ongoing long-range plan to improve healthful and safety at a workplace. 16. Laboratory exercise. Practice what you've learned. 17. Summary. Cost of accidents. Accidents in the workplace cost a lot, both in human suffering and in the bottom line dollars. The National Safety Council, NSC, is a nonprofit organization that promotes safety and safe work practices. If you look at the National Safety Council Injury Facts 2011 edition, you will see that 146 million workers are at risk in the United States of America, 4,988 on-the-job deaths occur each year, 4.7 million on-the-job injuries disable workers each year, and $164.7 billion are spent by our society for on-the-job injuries. Direct versus indirect cost. All accidents have a direct and indirect cost. Direct costs are traced directly back to the accident. 2 main direct costs are the medical cost and the legal payments for compensation of the losses and damages from the accident. Indirect costs are all the other costs that result from that accident, but are not a direct payment. Indirect cost. The direct cost of a workplace injuries was 40.1 billion in the 2002 Safety Index. The indirect costs were estimated to be $200 billion. A lot of people, schedules, and products are involved in the total indirect cost. Reducing the cost of accidents. Since there are direct and indirect costs when accidents happen, then it makes sense that preventing accidents has direct and indirect benefits gained. Setting up a safety and health program to prevent injuries and illnesses is not only the right thing to do, it is profitable too. Companies with strong safety programs typically have fewer at-risk behaviors and fewer accidents, less employee turnover and absences, and higher productivity. Studies show that for every single dollar a company invests in safety and health, there is a return of $4 to $6 on that investment. Wouldn't it be nice if every investment had a 4 to 6 times positive return? OSHA's Voluntary Protection Program. The OSHA Voluntary Protection Program, VPP, is a good example of how investing in accident prevention has many direct and indirect benefits. VPP promotes effective worksite-based safety and health by building cooperative relationships between management, labor, and OSHA. Workplaces must apply to have their safety and health management system reviewed by a team of OSHA safety and health experts. Based on the results of the performance assessment, OSHA recognizes employers and employees who have achieved exemplary occupational safety and health. OSHA VPP sites have an overall benefit of better safety practices with statistical proof of fewer injuries and illnesses. These safety improvements result in greater financial profits when workers' compensation premiums and other costs go down. It has been observed at the OSHA VPP sites and confirmed by independent research that developing strong safety cultures have the single greatest impact on accident reduction of any process. It is for this single reason that developing these cultures should be top priority for all managers and supervisors. Reducing the cost of accidents. Do the math. Safety pays. OSHA has a financial program called Safety Pays. Notice the dollar sign in the name. This program helps companies estimate the cost of injuries and illnesses. The Safety Pays program provides ways to estimate the direct and indirect impacts and the savings gained when injuries and illnesses are avoided. It asks users to choose from a set of common lost workday injuries and illnesses. It guides users to enter information to do the analysis. It allows users to input actual loss figures or worker compensation costs. And it generates a report of the cost and sales needed to cover these costs. Accident prevention savings. There are many examples of direct and indirect benefits to investing in a safety and health program and creating a culture that expects safe behaviors. As the number of accidents goes down, the cost also goes down, and profits go up. Horizon Steel Erectors Inc. started a 100% fall protection program along with a safety accountability program for supervisors. These programs resulted in 96% reduction rate in accidents cost per person per hour. The accident cost went from an average of $4.26 an hour to only 18 cents. Now that is quite a savings. Companies who participate in programs like the OSHA Voluntary Protection Program, called VPP, have significant money savings. There are over 180 different industries that participate in VPP. The excellent safety and health performance of these companies in 1999 saved them more than $130 million. These were savings in both direct and indirect costs. A safety and health culture. A company's culture is a combination of several factors: attitudes and beliefs, behaviors and ways of doing things, values and goals, and shared characteristics. When the people within a company have shared beliefs, practices, and attitudes that place safety as the number one value and goal, it creates a strong safety and health culture. This requires a commitment to safety in many areas. Basic elements of a safety and health culture. Over time, as the safety focus improves in a company, there are natural changes. A company will go from focusing on removing existing hazards to eliminating unsafe behaviors. Then, it will begin to build a system that processes to improve all safety and health conditions before they get bad. This becomes a proactive and preventative approach. Different industries and companies have different safety issues, so the safety prevention details must be different too. However, there are three basic elements of a safety and health culture, and every person in the organization must believe in these elements. 1. Everyone has the right to a safe and healthy workplace. 2. Everyone accepts responsibility for their own safety and health. 3. Everyone has a duty to protect the safety and health of others. Benefits of a strong safety culture. In a strong safety culture, every person feels responsible for safety every day. Every employee learns to identify unsafe situations and behaviors. They have the authority and responsibility to take the time and make the effort to correct any unsafe situations. Open communication is needed to make this work. Creating a safety culture takes time. In fact, it can take years depending on your safety culture level at the start. Continuous improvement must be made from a culture that focuses on fixing only known problems to one that includes safety in daily operations, strategic goals, and the overall company mission. This culture shift results in improved employee safety. It also makes doing things the right way priority number one. Safety excellence must be a higher priority than short-term production pressures. As the safety culture measures safety performance and celebrates success, it will also become a profitable program. Improving management process. Worker safety and health is an important common goal that must be shared by everyone and worked on at all levels of a company. Creating a safety culture is one program that offers significant benefits to everyone, which helps in getting buy-in. Responsibilities of management. The OSHA Act of 1970 makes it clear that employers have a responsibility to provide a safe workplace. Section 5 of that act explains that each employer shall furnish to each of his employees employment and a place of employment which are free from recognized hazards that are causing or likely to cause death or serious physical harm to his employees. Let's look at management responsibilities and how manager leadership can have a positive impact on safety. We will also review questions managers should consider for a successful safety and health program. Responsibilities of management. An example of excellent management. Through the Voluntary Protection Program, VPP, OSHA recognizes employers and employees that have implemented excellent workplace safety and health management systems. Management, labor, and OSHA work cooperatively and proactively to prevent injuries, illnesses, and workplace hazards. As part of earning VPP status, employers must demonstrate management commitment to the safety and health of their employees and actively involve employees in the safety and health management system. Grafe Packaging is a good example of a company with a management team doing the right things to protect their employees. Grafe Packaging manufactures uncoated paper and multi-wall bags and has more than 60 employees in Omaha. Grafe earned top recognition following a comprehensive on-site evaluation by a team of OSHA safety and health experts. Managers must commit to safety and see it as a fundamental priority of the organization overall, and of their team specifically. Workers must see their managers getting involved in the safety and health program and leading by example. Here are some things managers do when they make a commitment to safety. Accurately report all hazards and all symptoms, injuries, and illnesses. Follow all safety rules when they are on the job. Effectively communicate safety issues to their employees. And make safety a priority in the workplace. Setting and measuring standards. Managers in a solid safety and health program have authority and responsibility for safety. By measuring how well managers perform these responsibilities, they are held accountable for their decisions and actions, and for keeping safety as a number one priority. Having standards for performance and being able to measure job performance against the standards are critical elements of an accountability system. Company policies and procedures must clearly define the rules and expected standards of safety and health performance by employees. Managers must understand and enforce these rules. In addition, a measurement system must be set up and used at all levels to make sure the safety and health standards are performed correctly. Making it count. With the right standards and expectations in place, and the right resources across the company, everyone can be held accountable for their own safety as well as the safety of others. A safety and health program should have clear consequences for following or not following the safety expectations. Here is a key term: accountability. an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility. It is important for managers to follow the program themselves and to reward and support employees who follow it as well. When everyone, including managers, is held accountable, the safety and health program will continue to improve. Everyone will be rewarded with a safer workplace. Perhaps you aren't sure if the managers where you work are held accountable. Ask yourself these questions. Do your managers correct problems in a way that creates continuous improvement? Are there incentives in place to encourage everyone to meet their safety objectives? And do employees feel empowered to make a positive difference? Role of employees. Every person in a company is responsible for making and maintaining a safe and healthy workplace, not just the management team. Why should employees be involved? Workers who have direct contact with safety and health hazards should want to protect themselves. When you are at work, it is your health and safety that is on the line, but your actions also impact your coworkers. You can and should help them too. When employees are active in their safety and health program, they face fewer risks and experience fewer injuries and illnesses. Put simply, employees should be involved because it is the right thing to do. Working as a team. If each employee is accountable for their own safety, that is a good start. It gets even better when employees also accept the responsibility to look out for safety of others. The best situation is when groups of workers approach safety as a team. Everyone wins. Groups of workers have broad experiences and can work together to really improve a safety and health program. Employee teams can learn from each other. One person's background and knowledge can highlight risks that others might not even recognize or consider. Employee involvement. There are many ways that employees can and should be involved in their safety and health program. Each employee will participate differently depending on their workplace job, experience, potential hazard, and their overall company program goals and objectives. At a minimum, employees must obey safety and health policies and rules. Here are some ways that employees can make a positive difference. Report hazards and help eliminate them. Analyze hazards in job and processes. Prepare safe work practices or controls. Develop and revise site safety and health rules. Train other employees and participate in meetings. Conduct site inspections. Participate in accident and incident investigations. Be a member of a safety advisory committee. And have yearly safety performance goals. By actively participating, employees work hand in hand with the management team and are all held accountable for their actions. Accountability also measures individual performance in the safety and health program goals and objectives. Employee involvement is all about making a positive difference every day. Worksite analysis. Is your worksite as safe as it can be? Whether you answered yes or no, how do you know? What makes you think that your safety and health program is effective? A worksite analysis is critical to an effective safety and health program. A worksite analysis identifies existing hazards and identifies conditions and operations that could create new ones. To have an effective safety and health program, your management must actively analyze the work and worksite to anticipate and prevent harmful situations. Let's take a look at how a worksite analysis is used to identify existing and potential hazards and correct them. We will also take a look at how companies can manage changes in the workplace that impact the safety plan. Comprehensive worksite survey. Any safety and health program should include an initial worksite analysis and periodic surveys to make sure all new hazards are identified in a timely manner. Before we investigate the methods and timing of periodic surveys, we need to identify the characteristics of initial comprehensive worksite survey. Spending the time and effort on the initial survey will make future worksite evaluations easier and more effective. Being thorough also means you have probably found all the hazards and potential hazards that you can find. That can mean the difference between healthy workers and workers with injuries or worse. Periodic surveys. A company cannot rest once the initial comprehensive survey is in place. Safety requires ongoing analysis of hazards at the worksite. This is where periodic surveys and updates play a role. There are three big categories for periodic evaluations: hazard analysis, change analysis, and safety and health inspections. Hazard analysis is exactly what went into the initial comprehensive survey. A company periodically reviews the jobs at the worksite to make sure there are no hazards. For many jobs, a simple job hazard analysis works. For jobs with more hazards, other methods may be used, such as a what-if checklist, a hazard and operability study, a failure mode and effect analysis, and a fault tree analysis. More on periodic surveys. Change analysis. A change analysis is a periodic survey that determines whether the current hazard inventory and related processes must be updated. New hazards can arise at a worksite due to new processes, materials, and equipment. Sometimes the processes and materials stay the same, but the job site is moved to a new location or has new employees working the job, and there are new risks. A change analysis helps to avoid safety problems before they develop. Typically, a change analysis is completed when your work has any of these changes: a new facility or worksite, installation of new equipment, using new materials, starting up new processes, and staffing changes. More on periodic surveys. Safety and health inspections. Even though a comprehensive survey is designed to find all current and potential hazards, it is possible that some hazards are missed. Routine safety and health inspections are periodic surveys that should be scheduled regularly. The results help to keep your overall safety and health program up to date and maximize everyone's safety. A common timeline for doing routine safety and health inspections is once per week. In addition, procedures should be set up to do a daily inspection of the work area. Many companies create a safety and health inspection checklist based on several factors. Are there known past problems? Are there industry standards that apply to your work? Do your workers have input for common problems? And does your company have unique safety practices or rules? There are some important guidelines to remember about inspections. Inspections should cover every part of the worksite. Inspections should be done at regular intervals. In-house inspectors should be trained to recognize and control hazards, and identified hazards should be tracked to correction. Controlling and preventing hazards in the workplace. Every day there are reports of how employees are injured or even killed. Your safety at work is affected by how well your workplace hazards are controlled. Your safety and your life, and those of others, depend on effective hazard control. OSHA identifies companies with poor hazard control and issues press releases about companies found violating the OSHA regulations. On the following pages, you will see two of these from OSHA. In each situation, hazards were not controlled properly and lives were affected. Simple changes in equipment setup, housekeeping practices, protective equipment, standard operating procedures, preventative maintenance, and employee training would have prevented these violations and may have prevented work-related injuries. OSHA press release, hazardous chemical violations. A precision parts manufacturer in New Jersey faces fines of $59,290 for 18 serious workplace safety and health violations, including exposure to methylene chloride. There are 44 workers at the site where the violations were found. The company was inspected as part of OSHA's site-specific targeting program, which looks for employers with higher injury and illness rates. Exposure to methylene chloride is very dangerous and possesses serious health risks, including an increased risk of cancer and adverse effects on the heart, central nervous system, liver, and skin, said Chris Hoffman, director of OSHA's Parsippany Area Office. It is vital that the company eliminate these hazards to protect its employees. OSHA press release, trench protection violation. OSHA imposes over $171,000 in penalties for lack of trench protection. An Ohio construction company faces over $171,000 in OSHA fines for failing to provide appropriate trench protection. This protection was missing at 3 different construction worksites. The company was inspected under OSHA's National Emphasis Program on trenching and excavations. Cave-ins are a leading cause of worker fatalities during excavations, said Howard Edwards, OSHA's area director in Cleveland. There is no excuse for this employer to repeatedly jeopardize its workers' safety. OSHA is committed to protecting workers, especially when employers fail to do so. The serious violations included repeated failures to provide cave-in protection for workers in a trench more than 5 feet below grade and safe egress for the workers. These were cited as willful violations, which are committed with intentional knowledge or voluntarily disregarded for the law's requirements or with plain indifference to a worker's safety and health. 4 hazard control classes. There are many ways to control hazards, and each has its own purpose. The control operations are broken into 4 different classes. The degree of danger to workers determines where a control operation appears on hierarchy. The most preferred methods form the foundation at the bottom of the pyramid and build up on each other to the least preferred options at the top. Option 1. Engineering controls. The first and best strategy is to control hazards at the source. In other words, completely eliminate the hazard or reduce the exposure to the hazard as much as possible. Engineering controls form the base of the hierarchy and should be the first line of defense against workplace hazards. Engineering controls protect workers by changing processes, modifying equipment, or using safety devices such as ventilation or barriers. Since the hazard is removed or minimal, it is the best control method. Option 2. Administrative controls. Administrative control limits workers' exposures to risk. These control measures have many limitations because the hazard itself is not actually removed or reduced. Instead, the exposure time is limited. Administrative controls are not a first preference because they can be difficult to implement and maintain, and are not always a reliable way to reduce exposure. Therefore, these controls are normally used along with other preferred controls that prevent or control exposure to hazards more directly. Option 3. Personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is equipment worn by workers to protect them from exposure to hazardous situations. If a worker needs PPE, then there are still hazards present at the worksite. PPE should be used along with other engineering and administrative controls to protect workers as much as possible from the remaining hazards. Workers should be trained on proper usage of PPE, proper fit, and knowledge of where the PPE is located for all potential hazards. PPE must be readily available and in proper working order. Here are some examples of common PPE: eye and face protection, hearing protection, protective creams and lotions, protective clothing, and respiratory protection. Option 4. Personal hygiene. When it comes to controlling hazards, personal hygiene can mean a lot more than just brushing your teeth twice a day. This control option refers to your personal health and to certain activities you can do on the job to protect yourself by reducing the amount of hazardous materials absorbed through your skin, ingested through your mouth, or inhaled through your nose. Your personal health is very important because if you are unhealthy prior to exposure to hazards, it is likely to have a worse effect on you than it would if you were in top physical shape. Obviously, this is one very good reason to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Here are examples of on-the-job hygiene activities you can do to help protect yourself. Avoid touching lips, nose, and eyes with contaminated hands. Dust and grime can transfer from your hands to these sensitive areas and cause irritations. Wash your hands after handling material and before eating, drinking, or smoking. A simple hand wash can actually minimize your exposure to many materials such as oils, dirt, dust, and pesticides. Do not smoke, drink, chew gum, or eat in work areas. These activities should be permitted only in a clean area. Do not store dangerous materials in the same refrigerator as food items. Chemical testing samples and other work-related materials should not be stored in the same location with your personal food or drinks. Spilling one into the other would not be a tasty result, and it could hurt you. More hazard control activities. In addition to the 4 key hazard control options you've studied so far, there are additional activities that must be part of your toolkit for preventing and controlling hazards. Emergency response. During emergencies, new hazards can appear that normally are not found in the workplace. What would you do differently if a storm or flood reached your workplace? Do you know where to go or what to do if there is an act of terrorism where you work? What would be the best plan of action if there was a chemical spill or major fire in your area? Be aware of possible emergencies and work with your employer to develop a plan for these situations. An emergency action plan helps you prepare in advance when you can think clearly and logically. An emergency or disaster can arise when you least expect it, so you need to be prepared ahead of time. Medical programs. Workers can experience high levels of on-the-job stress. Daily tasks and workplace risk may expose workers to toxic chemicals, safety hazards, biologic hazards, radiation, physical strain, and many other hazards. Depending on the workplace, a medical program will need to be able to respond differently considering a workplace's specific needs, location, and potential exposure of workers at a site. It should address how to recognize, prevent, and respond to medical situations. An overall goal is to limit the severity of work-related injury and illnesses, and ideally to eliminate situations that need medical attention. All medical programs must keep accurate records for future reference. How medical programs differ. Medical programs vary from basic first aid and CPR response to very complex approaches for the diagnosis and resolution of ergonomic problems. Whatever the type of medical program, it is important to use medical specialists with appropriate training. Preventative maintenance. You know from the preferred control method that it is best to eliminate a hazard when possible. Similarly, it is better to prevent a hazardous emergency situation than it is to have to respond to it. As the old saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Good preventative maintenance plays a big part in making sure that equipment and related processes functions as expected. The goal is to do maintenance activities before equipment repairs or replacements are needed. Documentation is not only a good idea, but it is necessary to create a schedule of equipment maintenance tasks. It is important to know what equipment needs maintenance, how often to schedule the resources, and how to manage the timing correctly. Consider an air handler that has a filter. Proper checking and replacement of the filter will ensure that the air handler functions to its full capacity, which makes the air handler work better and that makes the air you breathe safer. Certain OSHA standards require that preventative maintenance be done. For example, a preventative maintenance program is required for overhead and gantry cranes. 29 CFR 1910.179. Documentation. Despite careful planning and hazard control, some hazardous situations will happen and need to be fixed. It is important to know how to correct these hazards and to document these actions taken. Safety data sheets, SDSs, are one example of necessary documentation in a safety and health program. OSHA requires that information about the identification and hazards of chemicals must be available. In fact, all employers with hazardous chemicals in their workplace must have labels and SDSs for their exposed workers. These workers who are exposed to chemicals must be trained on how to correctly handle the chemicals, as well as be able to find and understand the SDSs. The SDS includes identification of the chemicals, hazards, and how to handle problems like accidental release and first aid. The exact format and methods for documenting and tracking hazards corrections vary across different companies. Here are some more ways to document responses and corrections to discovered hazards and situations. Create and maintain inspection reports that include a section for hazards found and corrections taken. Provide a way for employees to report hazards and include space and incident investigation documents to provide an explanation of the hazard correction. Computerize a hazard tracking system in an existing database, such as work order tracking, so it is easy to access and always available. Safety and health evaluations. Different businesses use varied methods for managing hazards. Since the range of possible examples is very broad, how do you know which? Hazard control options are right for you, hazard control options are right for your workplace, and methods are best for you. You and your employer can find out how you are doing and where improvements are needed by doing a safety and health evaluation. Effective safety and health evaluation programs. Companies that want to reduce accidents, injuries, illnesses, and the related costs must emphasize safety and health issues as much as other core management issues, such as production, sales, and quality control. Here are some factors for a successful safety and health program. Ask yourself if these are all true for your company. Safety and health must be an integral part of your operations. Safety and health must be an integral part of your operations. Teamwork must be apparent in all parts of your organization. Managers and supervisors must be out in the workplace areas frequently and always be observing the company's safety and health rules. Employees must be encouraged to identify safety and health hazards and correct them. And employees must have full and open access to all the tools and equipment they need to do their job safely. Safety and health evaluations components. All the components of a safety and health program are interconnected and affect each other. If there is a problem in one component, that will affect all of the others and decrease the value of the safety and health system overall. Training for supervisors and employees. If your company's training program is doing a good job of creating a safe and healthy workplace, then everyone in your company should be able to answer these questions with a yes. Do you know what to do in case of a fire or other emergency at work? What PPE you need and how to use it? How to recognize and manage the hazards in your workplace? And how to report a safety problem. It is important that all workers have the knowledge and skills to understand hazards and safe procedures. Without this critical information, workers cannot be safe in their work environment. Types of safety and health training. Training is not a once and done type of activity for most job skills. Managers and sometimes customers expect the workers' knowledge, skills, and work results are continually being updated, trained, and improved. Think of how technology has changed the way you do many of your work activities and the training that was required to learn new ways of working. The same is true for safety and health training. Timing of safety and health training. Your company's ongoing safety training should be included with yearly performance requirements and job practices for each employee. Each employee should be trained on the procedures and safety equipment to do their everyday job tasks. A regular focus on safety keeps everyone up to date on the best procedures and responses. Many different situations can create the need for new training. A site change analysis may indicate that new hazards are present due to new processes and materials. Remember to train workers not only on the new processes, but also how to handle the new potential hazards. Safety and health inspections may uncover hazards that existed but were not already part of the safety and health training plan. These may need to be added to the training program. Employee reports of unsafe situations or activities can highlight the need for new training. Accident and incident investigations may discover a root cause issue that requires changes in training so that the same mistakes are not repeated. And a trend analysis of recurring problems often leads to new or adjusted training to improve the safety and health of all employees. Adjusting attitudes to foster safety. Winston Churchill once said, "Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference." Attitude can affect the success of a safety and health program in many ways, both positive and negative. If employers and employees are engaged in the program and have a positive attitude about making a difference, the safety and health goals will be met successfully. Consider how your attitude affects your behavior each day. Does your attitude have a positive effect or a negative effect on your safety and the safety of others around you? Importance of attitude. Attitudes can be contagious, both good and bad. Managers and employers must balance work production pressures and their work environment with safety considerations each day. People who have positive attitude about the safety and health program goals will see the benefit of a safer work environment for everyone. Making a positive impact on attitudes. Many management processes are ready for improvement. Making some straightforward changes in these processes can make a big difference in the attitudes of both managers and employees about safety. Define responsibility. Make sure every level of the organization understands what is expected of their safety actions, including how their performance will be measured and rewarded. This will create clarity and encourage ownership. Share the vision. Create a shared vision of safety and health goals and make objectives align with production goals. Managers and supervisors must see that production goals cannot overrule safety and health goals. If production goals are considered priority number one, then safety goals will not get the proper resources and focus. Be accountable. Implement a process that holds managers and supervisors accountable for visibly being involved, setting the proper example, and leading a positive change for safety and health. An organization needs leaders that are respected and followed. Correct and reward. Evaluate and rebuild any incentives and disciplinary systems for safety and health. Make it clear that being an active and positive participant of a safety and health program results in rewards, and that poor participation results in corrective actions. One example is participation in an active and productive safety committee. Another example is rewarding employees who bring forward suggestions, concerns, or problems. Hold managers accountable for being responsive. Timely reporting and corrections. Ensure reporting of injuries, first aid cases, and any near misses. Educate employees about the importance of reporting minor accidents. Make sure that investigations and hazard corrections are timely, complete, and effective. Investigators should look for root causes and avoid blaming workers. Strategic planning to improve safety. To improve a health and safety program, you need an ongoing long-range plan. This is a strategic map of improving processes with focused milestones along the way. It is important to take care of day-to-day hazards and problems, but many companies repeatedly handle old problems rather than fix the root causes once and for all. Companies that have a long-range plan are more successful at reducing and eliminating root problems. A safety and health program strategic map provides a direction and a way to measure progress, make adjustments, and keep you on track. It helps you handle the smaller tasks with appropriate resources and set your priorities for long-term success. Summary. In this lesson, You learned that managers and employees alike have important roles in creating a good safety and health culture, and how taking action to prevent accidents has both direct and indirect benefits. Safety pays. Safety and health programs, work analysis, hazard prevention and control, safety evaluations, worker training, and strategic planning all play a role in creating a healthy and safe work environment. Now that you have completed the content sections of this lesson, are you ready to check what you have learned?